And you are very excited to talk about pre-approvals, prequals, and underwritten
I just find it
preapprovals.
really important because
It is.
And people are like, "What is that?" That's Peggy at a desk who is like doing all like the gremlin work in a basement, in a dark room, and asking you for 8 million
Jesus, I hope
documents.
no loan underwriters are watching this. With the file, we want to be sure, to Jen's point, we want to be sure that this person is lendable instead of trying to figure it all out and then we don't get our mortgage and then nobody's happy.
There's a much higher room for surprises. We don't like surprises.
And then we're done. Like everything's verified. There's no skeletons in the closet. And so again, it's like a functioning of marketing where we try to get our people to be as much of a shiny object to a seller as possible.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of MillenniUP. This one's going to be pretty fast.
Yes.
So we decided to do this episode because there was a previous episode. To be honest, I have no idea when it's going to come out in relation to this one. We do batch recording. What can I say? But important to know the difference. So we did an episode of So You Want to Buy a House, Now What? And we touched on the difference between pre-qualification, a pre-approval, and an underwritten pre-approval. And realize this is probably something we should go into as its own separate topic. So we are going to. These are really important, especially when you start going out, either when you start going out as a buyer or if you are a seller and you are receiving offers and you want to know what the difference is between them. So to start off,
I have a question.
By all means, we love questions. Yes, Seth.
Is there something wrong with the coffee that I provide? Because you haven't drank any coffee this morning.
This is my second cup.
Oh, it's your second cup. Okay. I was going to say.
Why do you think I'm so lively and spirited right now?
And you are very excited to talk about pre-approvals, prequals, and underwritten
I just find it
preapprovals.
really important because
It is.
It's like, people go to, and I give Rocket Mortgage a whole lot of shit, and I'm not sorry. Not sorry, Rocket Mortgage.
You know what's really funny? I'm going to interrupt you again. When we first started this episode or this podcast, we thought we would curse a lot, but we don't curse a lot unless I'm doing it and I don't know.
I know. I've already thought this, and I have.
We were worried about having to need an explicit thing and being like.
I've considered bringing up to you, and I haven't until right now. Look at this, everybody.
Yeah.
Some behind the scenes.
Some behind the scenes talk.
I've considered taking the BS off of our name.
Have you?
I have.
What do you guys think? You think we should take the BS? I don't know. BS is kind of.
The No BS Real Estate Solutions for Millennials. We put it in there because we kind of figured that we would be cursing like a sailor up in here, but we really haven't.
To be clear. We do curse.
Oh, we have FPMs. We've got.
Can you explain to everyone what an FPM is?
We might need to put an explicit one. It's F's permanent.
Yeah.
In our just
and I
dialogue.
I set the land speed record every day.
Yeah. Unless I'm really pissed.
Unless Jen calls me or I just get an FUCK in our G chat and I'm like,
period.
Just call me. Tell me what's wrong.
It's either that in all caps. It's that all lowercase with a period at the end of it. Mm-hmm. They are very different words.
No, I like the BS because it's expressive and it's true. And it's not really a curse word. It's an expression.
I'm curious to know what everybody thinks. If you're not like...
we'll put a poll out maybe.
If you're way more respectful than we are in your vulgarity levels, I'd like to know if you think it's off-putting or not. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's besides the point. That's not what this is about.
We're going to talk about something much more exciting. Pre-qualification.
So over this already. But I think it's important to talk about because we deal with this all the time. We know the difference. It's not really much to journal on about in the real estate world, but that's why we have a podcast for people who are not in the real estate world. So just give people an understanding. There are 3 different levels that you can get before you are actually ready to go out and buy. And for the most part, everybody knows that they need an approval from a lender or bank to be able to buy a house. Glad we can all start there. But it's what do you actually have in your hand and how strong is it? So like I said, whether you're a buyer or a seller, this is going to be important to know. So the lowest security of an approval is the pre-qualification. So
I guess we'd say lowest quality.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Potato.
I'm doing my best here, Chad. I'm trying to contribute anything.
All right, go ahead. Tell us about pre-qualification.
No. I'm just trying to contribute anywhere I can. This is going to be the Jen show. This is fun.
All right. Pre-qualification doesn't really dig in, and you can correct me if I'm wrong also, because you know far more back into the lending side because of some endeavors you've been taking. Mm-hmm. But pre-qualification, so you're going online, you're going on a Rocket Mortgage, and you're like, oh, I want to get blah, 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 blah. it takes in the least amount of information to be able to spit out some kind of an approval. So correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure all it really requires is to know how much you make. Does it go into credit score?
Are you talking about pre-qualification?
Yeah.
Dude, pre-qualification is just like it's like a bank statement. A lot of times a pre-qualification will come from like your bank. Like if you bank at, like a Wells Fargo or Chase or some kind of like local brick and mortar bank, they have your banking information. You just kind of state your income and they'll give you what's called a pre-qualification. But almost always on a pre-qualification note, there's like subject to asset verification, income verification, that type of thing. Yeah, there's like a bunch, and they're called conditions. And so I almost never shop with a pre-qualification because that means that most times they haven't actually done an app. There's been no tax returns. There's been no W-2 given to the bank. So there hasn't been very little verification. Yeah. So well, it's also just not as marketable. See, I'm lightening up here. I got some stuff.
See,
yeah, there you
exciting.
go. There you go. No, it's also just not as marketable. If I see if I'm selling a house, I see a pre-qualification. I'm doing a deep dive on what that is, who the lending officer is, asking lots of questions versus something that we will talk about in a minute.
So then so all to say, pre-qualification doesn't really say much. So next is pre-approval. This is pretty fine. This is what most people typically have. What did you want to say about it? Is this the one that you said that we were going to get to in just a second?
No. Yeah, I'm going to let you take it.
Okay.
You're good. Doing a great job.
Thanks.
Good job, Jen.
Pre-approval, there's been an application that has been filled out. These are people who are a little bit more serious about what they're trying to do about purchasing. People who their income has been verified. It had their credit has been checked. So basically more boxes have been checked and has been looked at more closely by a lender to be able to say what their budget can be based off of a debt to income ratio. And has looked at assets and liabilities. So they have looked at more of the file without getting too boring with all of the things that they look at. They have looked at this person's financial place a little more closely and can more confidently say what they are approved for based off of what they bring in, what they owe, and their credit. Anything to add?
No, we're good.
Next.
Then
you're on to the underwritten pre-approval. This is the gold standard, if you will.
And this is where we put almost all of our clients before they shop.
Yes, and this is something that our lender just kind of automatically does. This means, so when you go under contract, then you go into what's called underwriting, which some people may have heard of. And people are like, what is that? That's Peggy at a desk who is like doing all like the gremlin work in a basement, in a dark room, and asking you for 8 million documents.
I hope no loan underwriters are watching this.
But they love doing that. I know some people who like do that, and they're just like, I love that I'm not bothered. I don't have to talk to agents. I don't have to talk to anybody. I just go into my little hobbit hole and I just do what I do. Yep. And that is totally a job for people that like to do that. I could never. I talk too much. I need social interaction.
There'd be the largest batch of risky loans coming out of my side. I'd be like, it looks good. Good.
There's a reason that I am not those people,
yes.
And there's somebody for every job. So when you go under contract, then your file goes into underwriting, and that is when all of the meticulous things are done and all of the meticulous details are honed in on. And that's when they ask you for all sorts of other documents and a letter from 5 years ago and proof for this and where is this coming from. They make sure there are no more questions left so that loan is completely airtight and ready to be issued. So where underwritten pre-approval comes from is they have taken your application, done all of the normal things for a pre-approval, but made it even more airtight by getting it underwritten by the people who are going to be asking for all of those things.
Yeah, and it's not quite as much of a deep dive as they would do once you're under contract, but it's as much of a verification of a buyer's ability to buy as you can get without actually getting an agreement of sale, getting a contract, and then going through finishing out the loan process up till settlement. And that's where we put all of our clients, because we don't want to waste anybody's time, but also it really matters when you're placing an offer with a seller and they've got 4 offers sitting side by side, and we have our lender call and be like, this is literally, we just have to appraise the property and then we're done. Everything's verified. There's no skeletons in the closet. And so again, it's like a functioning of marketing where we try to get our people to be as much of a shiny object to a seller as possible.
Yeah. And it's not even, I mean, that's a really big point of why we do it, but also so that there aren't any surprises for you, because you don't want to get super excited to get under contract and your offer was picked and you're getting closer and closer and then oops, something comes up.
Yeah.
Something pops up, something that the bank doesn't like, something that the underwriter will not look past and will not allow you to proceed with. And then your deal falls apart because of financing.
Well, the other side of it is also just for like weirder files. So like I have a guy who is a Craigslist like yard sale guy. He doesn't declare a lot of income. What?
Is that lucrative?
Yeah, he's good at it. I had another gentleman who was moving in from out of state, and he's a dentist. And when you come into a new state and a new area, like you don't get one dentist gig, you get 3. And so sometimes underwriters don't really know how to quantify that income. So like sometimes when there's like trickiness with the file, we want to be sure, to Jen's point, we want to be sure that this person is lendable instead of trying to figure it all out, and then we don't get our mortgage, and then nobody's happy. Or
like you might be lendable, but if it is a little bit more complicated or has more steps, that time allows for it. So you might think that you'll be fine to do like a 25 to 30 day settlement, but because of like the steps that need to be done or the verifications that need to be had, you might need to allow yourself more time to even like get what you need or be able to like, lump certain things together or get the underwriter what they need. So that's another thing of knowing, if you're already pre-underwritten, then chances are that you've already gotten them what they need, or they can tell you, just bacon, it might be like a 45-day settlement versus a 30 kind of thing. And all those things ahead of time. Yeah. I love having answer keys. Like I said, if you're going to go any direction, I would say, or if you're talking to your agent, just say, is my pre-approval pre-underwritten? You might not know exactly what that means even after this, but your agent's going to love you and beam when they hear that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to sum it up, a pre-qualification is very little look into your financial situation. A pre-approval means you've probably applied for a mortgage and you've submitted documentation. An underwritten pre-approval means that has occurred, plus the underwriter, who is the person who makes the ultimate decision on whether to give you your loan, has already looked at the file. So those are the kind of your three levels of verification. Like I said, we get everyone to that 3rd level. So we have as smooth as transaction as possible, and it's very important, it makes you as marketable as possible in the event that you go into a competitive situation in order to get a house.
Right, and if you are selling your house and you are going to be looking at offers that are going to be coming in, that is something to just make sure of and to ask, like, how is their approval and how qualified are they as a buyer?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a buyer can put out anything, just so you know. Like, they can throw out any offer number that they want. They can do whatever the hell they want with an offer, but there needs to be levels of security to back it up. So there needs to be, this is another topic entirely also, but they can throw any number out there. But if there's no assurance that it's going to appraise or what they're going to do in the case that it doesn't appraise, it means absolutely nothing. If they, want to put in, again, a really high offer, but they don't have the finances to back it up, then there's no point to it. Yep. So making sure that everything is actually like airtight and qualified is going to be very important if you are selling.
Yep.
Anything else to add to this really heavily boring topic that you didn't want to do?
I mean, if our audience isn't asleep,
I'd like to think I'm lively enough to bring some joy and sunshine to this topic.
No. Sometimes we need to do these more technical episodes. I know that. They're not my favorite.
I'm going to send them out to people in case anybody has questions.
I know there's going to be the reason we're doing this is because I know people will find value in this, because we're doing this all day every day. People don't know the difference.
So if you're still awake, smash that like and subscribe button.
That's right.
All right. Until next time.
See you guys.
Bye.